Welcome to Talking Eurotrash with me, your host, Brendan Murray. Now, since we last reported, the European invasion began in earnest as hundreds of players, media, industry types and supporters travelled across the Atlantic to witness the greatest poker show on earth. And what a show it was. The focus for Europe began with the $10,000 World Championship Omaha tournament, the lineup of which read like a who's who of European poker. Over 50 players from across the pond anteed up for the event, and with only 4 tables left there were still 11 Europeans vying to take down the prestigious bracelet. In the end, Marco Traniello from Italy, Patrick Antonius from Finland and René Mauritsen from Denmark made the final table, finishing 5th, 3rd and 2nd respectively. This was the second time Mauritsen was runner-up in an event at this year's series, and he collected over $600,000 in winnings, which should help ease the pain of missing out on those bracelets. The European presence was very prevalent during the $1,500 limit hold'em shootout after the Ladbrokes Poker Tour arrived in town. The English firm used the event as a warm-up for its scores of online qualifiers, and there was a sponsored black or red shirt on virtually every table. Fittingly, it was 2 Englishmen that got heads up in this event, Andy Ward and Hendon mobster Ram Vaswani. Vaswani has come close in this event a few years ago, and the $217,000 he picked up along with the bracelet will more than compensate for what had been a lacklustre series by his very own high standards. Of course, all eyes are now on the big one, the $10,000 World Championship No Limit Hold'em event. Yesterday the bubble burst and 621 of the 6,358 entrants will receive at least $20,320. 5 players will become millionaires, and the winner of this event will pocket a colossal $8.5 million. Chip leader going into day 4 is Italian Dario Minieri, while Gus Hansen and Connor Tate are also making very strong challenges. Now, a little earlier I had the pleasure of speaking with 2 guys who played in the main event this year, one a former finalist and the other a recent bracelet winner. Here's what happened. Welcome to Eurotrash, gentlemen. I'm here with Padraig Parkinson and Cairan O'Leary. Cairan's a recent bracelet winner in the No Limit Hold'em event.
And Padraig is a non-bracelet winner in every event.
for this year, at very least. Guys, you both played in the main event recently. How did that go for you?
It didn't go too well. I got knocked out.
You promised you weren't going to ask him that. I better hold it back.
That's why I asked it.
I got knocked out early on day 2, but it's just nothing went right. But you know, you've 6,500 runners in the field. You know, all you can really do in the main event is to give it your best shot. And anytime you look in the mirror for the rest of the year and say, well, I did the best I could, well, then you can sleep.
That was beautiful. I'm actually getting choked up. Would you say that again? Let me write that down there.
You did a fair, decent rush of cards at one point during day 1, and it looked like you were pretty confident and focused on that.
Yeah, it was all going very well. I ended up with a table full of lunatics, which I really liked. It was fantastic stuff. It was like we were playing a $10 rebuy tournament, but they were playing show me poker, and I thought, God, I could get out of here with anything. And I had to come back the second day with less than I started the first day. That's the way it works, you know.
Yeah. And Cairan, you struggled for 2 or 3 days, never got above 30,000 chips. A bit of a grind for you?
I could break down at any moment. I'm still so upset about it. It was brutal. It was brutal, yeah. I mean, it was a tough haul. I mean, I said it was like going through day 1 against that type of field, you know, completely and utterly carded. It was like doing 10 rounds. I said it was like going 10 rounds with Mike Tyson, and he had the baseball bat. You know what I mean? It was evil altogether. I mean, it was just... And I actually had an internet mogul to my immediate right as well. Very, very wealthy, a rake of cabbage he had. And he was any 2 cards. And dangerous man, hard to make a play on him, because if he had any part of it, he wasn't looking you up because he thought he had the best of it. He was looking it up because he had a part of it. And that's a dangerous opponent right there. And but I fought tooth and nail, and I made it through. I nailed about 13,800 at the end of the day. And I went up and I broke the little bit of china I had left in the house, and then I reset myself, and I came back and I was ready to go again.
I didn't have any china.
Yeah, well, I told him
I would have broken it if I had it.
He's getting a bit of china for
I'm in the
Christmas.
Gold Coast. I'm in the Gold Coast.
It's in the mail, son. It's in the mail. But day 2 then, again, you know, I had a few buddies that were still in as well, and we're always egging each other on and stuff, and again, got the chips up to about 30,000, and but again, I had a few big stacks at the table, and these guys knowing that I think they knew like that for me it was a matter of survival and stuff, and I wasn't getting any cards. And
I don't know how it works for the Americans this event, but there's a huge camaraderie between the Irish and the English. Amazingly, I mean, you know,
absolutely, yeah.
It's like you know, you get knocked out, and you go in and cheer on your buddies the whole lot.
Yeah, if we're not rooting for each other, we're going through each other's wallets. When I went in the toilet, you'll be all right, but just get it out and check it. Which was to get the 20s in this
But there was a great hand on day 2 this year when Scott Gray, who'd been grinding away like he normally does, and he's playing this hand against some guy from Gobsmacked or whatever the hell it is, and he's got all his dough in with 3 jacks on a king jack rag flop, and the rock star had a king queen. So of course, because the rock star was there, the ESPN guys are all over the place, and then it's come 10-9. And the ESPN guy said, every camera in the place on Scott. I mean, they're expecting them to stand up and go absolutely nuts. And he said absolutely nothing. Not a word.
Didn't flinch.
About 5 minutes later, he said, at least I lost my chips to somebody famous. He said, I don't know who he was. He said, I still lost it to him. Yeah. But, that's the way we play poker in Europe and in Ireland in particular,
Absolutely.
I think this ESPN have done so much damage to poker with, the glorification of...
just ignorance.
Well, it was very tricky around the bubble yesterday. ESPN seemed to be directing things as much as the tournament director.
Well, ESPN want to turn this thing into something like the WWF. They want to make stars out of guys that behave obnoxiously and the whole lot. But this that's not what the game is about. And the guys I want to watch playing are the Gentlemen, the Seidells, the Sextons, the Eric Lindgrens and all that kind of stuff. That's like when you see a guy. That's a beauty of poker. Like, I mean, when you see a guy in adversity and then watch him trying to fight back after something terrible has happened, or not terrible. Like, we're not saving lives here. Yeah. But I mean, that's
maybe our own. No, you're right. Absolutely.
And the family and the whole lot.
It tells a lot about a person's character, doesn't it? Absolutely,
It does, and I think the ESPN are trying to turn this thing into a circus that it isn't. And so all the young guys coming into the game, they see all this stuff on the TV, and they kind of they think that's the way you're supposed to behave. But
that's right.
That don't happen at home.
No,
and it won't.
He's right. He's absolutely right. I concur. I mean, they're acting like a bunch of muppets and stuff like that, and I mean, it's like as I said before. I'm more of an old type of man myself, and I love watching the old boys play and stuff, and that was the type of style. Like
you'll be in the horse next year.
Basically playing that type of style, you know what I mean? Yeah. If I bring it in an early position and it's raised and re-raised back around to me and I don't know aces or kings, I mean, I'm getting rid of it. You know what I mean?
Poker.
Yeah, it was a different style. I mean, a fella like Padraig would have taken advantage of that, saying, I can try and
I would not.
But I'd be looking him up, all right. I might see the flop against Padraig, but I mean, it's crazy. I mean, watch some of the guys around there, and I mean, it's like one guy he was chopping his teeth, and he's doing all this crazy kind of stuff, and I didn't know whether I wanted to knock his chips over or smack him in the mouth. I mean, it was just brutal.
Well, you could always do both.
But I figured...
both always an option.
Yeah, the floor man looked a very fit fella, so I figured he'd catch me before I got to the door.
Well, while you ground sort of away for the last couple of days, that was far from the case when you won your bracelet recently. You seem to sort of be very confident, breezed your way. You've obviously had a few good cards, maximised, what you could get out of that. Tell us a little bit about that experience in terms of it's been a month or thereabouts now, so you've probably settled down a little bit.
And you spent the money.
Well, we're doing it already on the drink.
We're doing a good job with that. But
I'm busy trying to drink it.
We're going to hit the town tonight.
My new best friend.
We'll give it hell tonight. Little does he know I'm after whipping the credit card out of his arse pocket. But keep that a secret. Oh, sorry, Paddy. I mean, it was actually a room number. He just provided you pay the bill. He says. But no, you're absolutely right. The difference between the two events for me, not that I hit the ground running necessarily in the first event either, but. I did get my fair share of hands, and that's all I felt asked for, and then with that, then I was able to set up a few plays, and with as he says, a lot of young kids that are very aggressive, and sure, I mean, it's like bringing the pigeons to the cat. I mean, that works every time but once, and I check, bet, call, turn, check, he moves all in, call, you beat him into the pot, he's walking away, and he's like talking to himself and stuff, so I got my fair share of hands, and I was able to set myself up. After day one, I think I was about 41st in chips, and
about 41st.
40. I was around 40. I was around 40. And,
40 and a half.
40 and a half is right. And then after day two, then I was sixth going to the final table and stuff like that. And there was a few boys that were a bit lighter than I was, so I figured I wasn't under too much pressure at the time. And I was fortunate enough to come through and win that. The experience was amazing the first time around and stuff. But I mean, I knew I had the ability to do it. I won over 30 events down through the years and stuff. And this was just.
He's been around a long time. We played in Binions years ago. He remembers it. I don't. We were both drunk.
He refuses to remember. I took about 10 grand off him, but he's not. He hadn't talked to
10 grand. If I 10 grand, I wouldn't have been there.
Yeah. Well, maybe you were up it at the time, but.
Well, that's something actually. I suppose a lot of people would have thought in the initial aftermath of you winning a bracelet, here's a name that sprung from nowhere, but that's very far from the case. You've been playing the World Series 8 out of the last 10.
That's right,
You know, you've come from Ireland. Tell us a little bit about how you wound up in America, how you got into poker.
Well, without boring and running out of tape there and stuff like that.
Keep it short.
His glasses go, but I said I'd give him at least half of my thing if he finishes first. But hold that one sec there now. But the whistle there a little bit. I don't want to start chirping, but I started very early. It's just probably like Padraig as well. I mean, it's like, hey, you know what? I mean, that's the whole thing revolves around the greyhound track and the horse track, and I used to do the road bowling and stuff in Cork and up the north, and it was always the thinkers and stuff, and you'd be gambling on the streets and stuff, and so poker was second nature for us. I mean, in fairness, and played a few events in Ireland and stuff. They used to run it in the form of charity, and then they'd give 20%. To charity, and then their side games would break up and stuff, and that was what it was all about. So I went to Australia for a few months. Went back to Ireland.
Voluntarily?
Voluntarily, absolutely. They didn't ship me out. No, I with Mark Galpin, but basically, I got to the States then, and I just got stuck in straight away when I got here, and 9 years ago I finished 6th or 7th in a pretty big event in the Mirage, which Helmuth actually won. Right. I think about 14,000 and stuff, but there doesn't seem to be any record of these events and stuff. And I know I cashed the
it's probably because you're Irish.
Maybe that they go. Blank that. There's no
maybe
let's give it to
before they get a chance.
Maybe that. Well, it was different. But then I mean, the bracelet.
Maybe they put it under somebody who was trying to just bump up the stats of it.
Exactly. Actually, that's right, because I saw my body and someone else said Helmut said.
But as long as you got the money.
Once I got the cash, I don't care. The notoriety or anything like that doesn't mean. I mean, like, it's my peers, like great players like Padraig and these are nice people like yourself, and that's what makes the game pleasurable for me. And I'm having a great time.
And after the main event, you're a family man. You're running a business. You went home back to work. It was really back to reality in a sense, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is reality.
Well, he's trying to teach me how to be able to mingle out of a few things, so I'm listening very close to that part of his game at least. And
it's the only part.
That's all. I'm only joking with you, kid. But basically, he says, do that again. He said, but I mean, it's a matter of I got 2 young kids, Aidan and Liam, and the wife. So I mean, I've got to take her to Italy next month, or I'll be shot. So what I'm probably going to do is work that trip around the World Series of Poker Europe. And I'm definitely committed to playing in the Irish Open next year in Easter and stuff like that.
You'll be mad not to.
World Poker Tour and the Legends next and stuff like that. But
you're missing out the Galway races, then, are you?
Oh, with me, like
that's my next day, the Galway race.
I got it, and many a good weekend I had down there, but I'll tell you that's a mighty spot. But
I had a lot of good weekends down there, except that I stayed for the week afterwards.
I know that's what happens. Yeah, it's always the second week that'll get the better of you. But
so you have a busy schedule coming up, and I'm sure the business maybe will be kinder to you going forward than possibly in the past. There'll be people knocking on your door. You'll be a minor celebrity, as it were, or a major celebrity.
Pretty much, or whatever.
You look like a man who could take that in his
I'm like an old Velcro. Everything's sticking right now. Like we'll play.
It hasn't gone to his head at all.
Not at all.
Drinking champagne for breakfast.
That's right. Yeah,
as one does.
No, you're the wrong man. I tell you, the wrong man. But I mean, it's a matter of what I used to always say. I remember a fella asked me years ago. He says, "How do you juggle?" He said, "Between being a professional poker player and doing the construction." And I looked at him. I said, "Well, it basically depends on the weather. If it's raining, I go to the card club, and if it's dry, we'll get the old roof on today."
I have a job. I'll work.
I said, small baby steps. I said, I'll get him a tool belt for Christmas, and we'll see how he does with that.
Padraig, what's your plans for the next few weeks and months?
The Galway races, I think, is the next big move, and we're doing a lot of work on the charity event. We got this thing for poker for the homeless that the EPT have very kindly added on to their roster, and I've been talking. I think Robert Williamson's coming over. I've been talking to a lot of the big European players and all that. So I've been working on that for a while.
Okay. Well, guys, thank you very much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure to talk to both of you.
Thank you, Brendan.
I'll certainly join you for a drink at the end of the bar and pass that famous brown envelope from Card Player to you guys. I've been Brendan Murray.
What famous brown envelope?
There's a few 20s in the vicinity.
There is. Well, it's empty probably. But,
it's all right.
I've been Brendan Murray. This is Talking Eurotrash. Thanks for watching. Join us next time.
Slán.